So hello there, and welcome back to another Night in the Movies podcast. I'm Spike Knight, and in these podcasts, I like talking all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I am reviewing The Substance. So, let's get into it, shall we? The Substance is a new film directed by Caroline Fageet, apologies if I mispronounced her name, and the film stars Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid. And I didn't really know what to expect going into this movie. I mean, I'd seen the trailers for the film in the cinema over the past couple of months, but even after watching the trailers for this movie, I didn't really know what to expect because the trailers didn't give anything away in a way that worked in the film's favour, in my opinion, because I had a very unexpected experience watching this film in the cinema yesterday. And the Google plot synopsis of this film goes as follows. Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore in the movie, renowned for an aerobics show, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid her distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself, and that enhanced version of herself is played by Margaret Qualley in the movie. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about The Substance before seeing it. And honestly, I thought this film was absolutely brilliant. It is unforgettable with a capital U. It is unforgettable. This is not a film that will leave you anytime quickly. The images from this movie are still ingrained in my brain. You know, I saw the film yesterday and I did see it yesterday. I saw it a couple of days ago and I haven't really been able to get it out of my head. The film was so vivid and bold in its cinematography, and oh my god, it's full of all this body horror, which, just thinking about the images in this movie, god, they get under my skin, and, you know, pun intended there. The film did get under my skin in a way I wanted it to. You know, I often say about thrillers, I often say a thriller is good when it gets under your skin, you know, when it starts to make you feel uncomfortable. And that's exactly what this film did. It got under my skin. And whenever there was a bit of body horror on screen, I mean, and my things in my hands so many times in this movie, and it's so squeamish. Like, the horror in this film, it's brilliant though at the same time, because I think that was the filmmaker's intentions, to make me feel that way, to make me literally, you know, when I look back on this movie, almost shiver because of what I saw. Honestly, like, the horror in this film, it gets under your skin, and it makes you, you know, it makes you almost want to gawk just the memory of what you saw. This is a film, as what he said, that won't leave you anytime soon, and is one heck of a cinematic experience. And they always say the best movies, when you watch them at the cinema, feel like experiences in the cinema. You know what I mean? Like, when you watch a good movie in the cinema, it feels like an experience. And that is exactly what this film felt like. Plus, the performances are all excellent. Demi Moore is perfectly cast as this aging movie star, and she is remarkable in this film. I haven't seen Demi Moore a lot, I must admit, but I genuinely didn't think she could be this good as an actress, and yet she showed here that she has so much range and is so compelling to watch at the same time. Demi Moore was excellent, as I've already said, as was Margaret Qualley, who I also haven't seen in much. I think she was in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was one of Manson's family in that movie, and I've seen her in something else that I can't put my finger on right now, but I haven't seen her much. She is also excellent in this film. Dennis Quaid, who I've never really been a big fan of, if I'm being completely honest, he's brilliant in this film as well, because he brings this raw quality to his performance. You hate his character because he's this sleazy boss who just, every time he's on screen, he plays one of those characters you love to hate. And Dennis Quaid really, he makes that character so much more hateable. Is that even a word? You know what I mean? He makes that character, you hate him so much more because he's played by Dennis Quaid and because of Dennis Quaid's performance. He is very good in the film. Furthermore, I loved the film's commentary on how, the commercialization of certain beauty in this world, how we perceive beauty in media, is explored in this film, because this film explores how other people's looks, seeing other people's looks on in fashion or in films or in adverts. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word there. I couldn't think of the word adverts. But when you see, the way people look in the media and how it can affect the way you look and how you become unhappy with the way you look because you think you should look better because of what someone else looks like. I love the film's commentary on the way people perceive looks, beauty, and how commercialization changes the way we view ourselves, the way we view each other, and the way we are almost all the time concerned with the way we look. I love how this film commented on that, and the way its commentary sort of comes to a conclusion was very clever, in my opinion. Was very, very cleverly done. And the film has a lot of commentary on other subject matters at the same time, but that was the thing which really stuck out to me. It's commentary on beauty, particularly in today's world. The way people look and the way people change their looks because they don't think they look good enough. And the film is clearly inspired by a lot of great, classic horror movies. Carolee Fagit, I think that's what the director's name is. She's clearly a big fan of the likes of John Carpenter's The Thing, David Cronenberg's The Fly. There's a transformation that takes place in this movie over a period of time that's very similar to Jeff Goldblum's transformation into a living fly in The Fly, which I really admired. Plus, clearly the director of the movie is also a big fan of Brian De Palma's film Carrie. Clearly a very big fan. There's something, I'm not going to give away what, but if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've seen Carrie and if you've seen this film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's something in this movie which pays a lot of homage to Carrie, and I loved all the horror influence in this film. I'm not a big horror movie fan. I've said that plenty of times on this channel in the past. I am not a big horror movie fan. Quite frankly, I watch any other genre over horror, but I still do watch horror movies. And as somebody who was not a horror fan, though, I could appreciate how much you could tell that Carolee Fagit, the director's movie, and also the filmmakers behind this film, were clearly horror fans and want to make this film feel as uncomfortable as possible to watch. And they've succeeded in almost every single way. Now, the finale of this movie has been criticised a bit, and I get where some of the criticisms are coming from, because the finale does go off the rails. When the film started and when the film ended, if you compared, the last two frames, the first frame and the last frame actually fit quite nicely with one another, but if you look where the film starts and where the film ends, you wouldn't quite believe it. You wouldn't quite believe you watched the same movie. You just looked at, the first 5 minutes of film and the last 5 minutes of film. You wouldn't quite believe they're from the same movie. But I actually really liked the big finale to the film, because I was surprised that it went there. I didn't expect it to go there, but it went to a place where I was sat there in the cinema with the biggest grin on my with the biggest grin on my face, thinking, "This is so brave, this is so bold," and I wish more movies nowadays actually did this with their finale, just did something crazy and risky. And yeah, sure, it might not work for everybody, but at least they're doing something that you don't get to see in many movies nowadays. And that's exactly what this film did. I was like, wow, I did not expect to get that walking into the cinema to watch this film today. I did not expect to get that from this movie. So yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I thought the finale of the film really worked, and I was just happy that they went there. And also, I did think the finale of the movie brought the commentary to the film, as I've already said, to a nice conclusion. It brought it home, you know what I mean? As for criticisms, I don't have any major ones. I mean, I wish the film was a little scarier, but it made me feel uncomfortable, and I think that's more what it was trying to do. Like, there wasn't any big jump scares in the movie, but I've spoken about this in the past, you know, I think jump scares are cheap. They elicit an emotion for like 10 seconds and then the emotion is over. Sure, jump scares can be fun when you're just watching a horror movie with a group of mates, but when I'm watching a horror movie, I also want to feel unnerved. I want to feel uncomfortable. I want the film to get under my skin. And this film did, so it may not be, you know, jump scare horror. It may not be the same sort of horror you get in something like Smile 2, which is coming out soon. But I think it knows what horror it wants to be, and it gets there. You know, it makes you feel uncomfortable, and as I already said, it gets under your skin. And I think that was a film, I can't even speak today apparently. I think that was a filmmaker's intention. So this isn't a jump scare. This isn't a horror movie full of jump scares, but it is a horror movie which makes you feel incredibly uncomfortable, and I liked that quite a bit about it. So that wasn't a big criticism. I didn't need it to be scarier, because it still fulfilled the experience that I want from a horror movie. Although I will say I wish the musical score was a little bit better. Personally, the musical score didn't work for me as much as I hoped it would. But that's really my only criticism. I didn't dislike the musical score. It worked well in the context of the movie. It's just not the sort of musical score I will listen to outside of the film. Like, if I like a good musical score in a movie, I will listen to it on Spotify for, I don't know, a good couple of months at least after I've seen the film. And I'm probably never going to listen to the score for the substance outside of my viewing of this movie. But that all being said, the film was just, as I said before, and as I've titled this podcast today, it was unforgettable. Genuinely unforgettable. You know, and I did a bit of research before doing this review today to see what the filmmaker's intentions were with this movie. And Carly Fagiti, who's the director of the film, as what he said in an interview with Vogue that at every age we can find something wrong with ourselves, which can make us feel like monsters. Your age defines you and your self-worth. But I thought that if I could create something meaningful about these issues, it could also serve as a form of liberation. And that's exactly what she did. She directed a very creative, bold, and horrifying movie that that you will not forget anytime soon. Absolutely brilliant. This film is just so good and absolutely unforgettable. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that The Substance, you know what? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I like films which really feel like experiencing the cinema, and that's what this film felt like. It got all the body horror. Like, going into this film, I knew this film would have some body horror in there, because I'd heard from some people that I watch online that this film was full of body horror. And I was a bit like, okay, am I going to like that, or is this going to make me feel uncomfortable, and is it going to make the whole cinema experience just feel wrong, you know? But that wasn't the case. The body horror actually worked for me in a way that I really didn't expect. And this film is a great example of how you make an uncomfortable movie still engrossing and still enjoyable to watch, because this film really does make you uncomfortable. It made me so uncomfortable in my cinema seat, but it was still engrossing to watch though, and that is something that you don't often get from films that make you feel uncomfortable. But that is what I got from this movie, and I'm so happy that I did. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I can't say enough good things about it because I didn't know what to expect, and that made the cinema experience all that more better. Ho ho ho. The substance, as I've said about 10 times in this review today, and as I've titled this podcast, is unforgettable, and in all the ways you want it to be. And so, all in all, as I've already said, and as I'm going to say once more in this podcast today, the substance is a 9 out of 10 for me. Anyway, guys, that's it for today's podcast. If you have seen The Substance, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. Maybe you loved it or maybe you hated it. Whatever your thoughts are, as already said, please let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this podcast. And look forward to many more podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. As already said, thank you as always for watching or listening to this podcast. And I suppose that's it. So I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.